everyone. A very good evening to all of you, and welcome to the first TechTonic session for the year 2025. So, we've got an insightful session lined up for today, conducted by Shameel. Shameel is an associate solutions lead here at WaveNet for 3 years, and he brings a wealth of expertise in data analytics and also solution designing. So, in today's TechTonic session, Shamil will walk us through IVR User Journey Reports and why they matter and how they will improve customer interactions. The session will also highlight key IVR touchpoints, showing where users engage or drop off, and also explore Sankey Dashboards to visualize customer flows very easily. We will also dive into how AI can optimize your call flows for smooth experiences, and then we'll wrap up the session with practical takeaways so you can start making data-driven decisions right away. We also hope to make this an interactive session. So if you have any questions, we will have a Q&A session at the end of the discussion. And also, feel free to drop any questions if you have in the chat section as well. Shamil, over to you.
Thank you, Nishan. Thanks for the introduction given by Nishan. And yeah, as he said, today we'll be deep dive into IVR User Journey Reports. So during today's session, I will be going through this agenda where we'll be giving an overview on IVR User Journey Reports. And very importantly, it's very important to identify the important touch points when it comes to IVR User Journey Reports. So I will be emphasizing a bit on that. Then, when it comes to market, there are different visualization types to present data like Sankey diagram and funnel reports. So I will be highlighting a few user journey reports, and very importantly, I will be moving on to Sankey diagrams. I will highlight why Sankey diagrams are important when it comes to user journey reports, and very importantly, so I will be taking you through the IVR data integration architecture. I will explain how the data sources are connected and what's the data transformation done in order to present data through a Sankey dashboard. Also, I will be highlighting the challenges that you face when it comes to the implementation of Sankey diagrams. And very importantly, you might already know Compose, which is a rapid application development tool. I will be explaining how Compose can be used to overcome these challenges when it comes to implementation of Sankey dashboards. And last but not least, I will be explaining how AI can be used to improve IVR application flows, the recommendations that can be given through analytics. So that I will be explaining as well. So this is the agenda. I will start explaining what's IVR user journey report and why you need journey reports. So you know that IVR user journey reports revolutionizing how we understand custom navigation patterns with real-time tracking and comprehensive analytics. There can be different industries, different business use cases, different industries. It can be telco domain, bank, fintech, can be enterprise customers like Pizza Hut. So, all those customers have application flows. When it comes to telco, you can allow the customers to check the balance or subscribe to data package to an IVR application flow. If it is banking sector, the banking customers can check the account balance, they can activate their credit cards, flow. Also, even companies, food companies like Pizza Hut, they can allow the customers to place orders through an IVR application flow. So you can understand the importance of IVR application flow, right? That's you need to provide a good experience through an IVR application flow because that directly impacts the business, success of the business. So, there can be IVR application flows where the customers finding difficult to find the intended menu option. They might go through loops, they might go back and forth to the same menu option, they might repeatedly access the same shortcode, same IVR flow. So they might have experience. So to identify those concerns, those issues, you need to have a proper analytics tool. That's where IVR user journey reports comes into play. So, to make data, to identify the repetitive paths, looping paths, or the menu options that the customers are spending more time. So that's where you need IVR user journey report. Even if you look at the business impact, standard research bodies like Gartner, Forrester, even they have highlighted that Using this IVR user journey reports, the impact is substantial, like from 40% cost reduction to 95% accuracy improvements. So, like, even they have identified that user journey reports can help the customers to like improve their business. So they can streamline processes, they can work on cost reductions, even they can improve customer experience. Also, they can make data-driven decisions. So when it comes to IVR user journey reports, as I said, it's very important to understand the IVR touch points, the main touch points that like you can focus on to create IVR user journey report to provide like good insights about IVR application flows. So let's break down like these critical touch points in like customer journeys, like from initial contact to authentication, menu navigation and the resolution. You can see like we need to cover over 20 data points across entire journey. So these four major touch points, provides foundation for like comprehensive analysis and gives us 100% journey coverage with real-time data collection. So if you look at the data points that we are like considering, it can be temporal metrics, which can be based on time based, where you need the total session duration, menu navigation time, and other information. Also, it can be user interaction data, where we capture user inputs, DTMF inputs. Also, it can be voice command inputs. Also, error, like there can be error selections done by customers. So those are very important when it comes to user journey reports. Then the customer context. Based on the segment type, there can be different segments based on the loyalty type. So you can have different menu options. So maybe the premium customers, they are facing issues when they are going through their menu options because they might have lots of menu options. It can be a lengthy flow, which is impacting on the customer experience. Also, very importantly, outcome metrics. The DTMF resolution, whether it's a success or failure. Also, there are points where from the IVR application flow, the call can be transferred to a live agent. So those transfer reason needs to be identified, and like even to optimize those, like the transfer calls, we need to identify the exact point, exact reason the transfer is happening. Also, very importantly, the customer feedback. So these are some important data points when it comes to IVR usually reports. So when you look at the market, like there are different visualization types. It can be a Sankey diagram, funnel analysis, tree diagram. So all these reports, like all these reports present customers' journeys. So when it comes to Sankey diagrams, it's a like flow-based visualization showing volume and directions of user system. So let me give a couple of use cases like where Sankey diagrams are used. This can be used for like, visualizing how callers flow through the welcome menu, through authentication, service selection to resolution options. Like, they're showing where the highest volumes occur. Also, there can be use cases like to identify where customers abandon calls most frequently by, displaying thinning flows at specific menu points. Also, this can be used for like comparisons. You can compare two flows. It can be based on the customer segment, where you can compare the navigation patterns, those flows based on the customer segment. Excuse me. And we have funnel analysis. This is also like most of the customers they use to like show like step-by-step conversion completion rates at each stage. So like to give an example, give a use case like to highlight where this funnel analysis is used. So, there are like we can track completion rates of specific use cases like bill pay, like showing drop-off at each step. Also, you can use this for measuring of authentication success rates, like display how many users start verification versus how many successfully completed the verification. And we have journey maps. So journey maps are also like a preliminary stage of Sankey diagrams. That's also kind of like, you can say it's kind of Sankey diagrams, but it's very basic. So this also can be used to display the average time spent at each touch point, each menu. Like you can use, it can be used cases like mortgage application processes. So for each application at each touch point, you can show the average time spent. Then we have tree diagrams. These are not very popular, but certain customers like use tree diagrams because when they require to show the menu hierarchy. show the menu hierarchy, and based on that, show the usage statistics at each node. So if you need to show that information, you can go ahead with tree diagram. Then we have heat maps. You might be wondering like why heat maps when it comes to user journey reports. So yeah, it's not a straightforward tool that you can use for user journey reports, but this is also very important. Like if you need to display high friction areas across different hours of the days of the week. Also, if you need to do comparison like time spent like in navigation, navigating different menu options across various customer demographics, then you can use heat maps. Then you have flow diagrams, where it's also like a very like preliminary stage of Sankey diagrams and journey maps. If you need to like show the usage statistics against the ideal flow, you can document the flow, the ideal paths, and against that, if you need to show the statistics like error analysis, usage information, then you can go ahead with flow diagrams. So these are like a set of visualization types that you can see in the market. With that, I will be like moving on to Sankey diagrams, like why you like most of the customers go ahead with Sankey diagrams. So you don't need like justification when it comes to Sankey diagrams on like why most of the customers choose Sankey diagrams, because when it comes to Sankey diagrams, you can at a glance you can weave the usage information, repetitive paths, loops. It's a powerful analytics tool. So actually, Sankey diagrams helps to identify the frustration points, also visualize drop-offs, and like you can track different patterns leading to attrition. Also, using these tools, you can do cost reduction, and you can spotlight places, opportunities where you can optimize menus. It can be a place where you do agent transfers or different options. So let me show like a set of examples when it comes to Sankey diagrams, like what sort of information, what are the filters that you can get through using a Sankey dashboard. So let me zoom up. Yeah. So you can see like this is a typical user journey report from starting from short code. Let me get the laser point. Yeah. Starting from the short code, you can see the menu options, the sub-menu options, how the customers have like navigated through IVR application flow can be viewed through Sankey dashboard. Also, you can get other information like average call duration, longest call duration, median call. So those information can be viewed. And specifically, like there are filters. You can like filter the repeat calls. Based on the disconnections reason, you can filter Sankey dashboards. And also based on like whether the abandoned call, the based on the call duration, disconnection reason, and even the repeated calls. Like you can see that even the repeated calls can be filtered. And using this like thickness of the user journey report and the direction, you can see like here we have identified two loop paths. The loop one, there are 45% of calls looped in this path, where eight users have followed this path, and average time that they have spent here is 5 seconds, 5 minutes. And the loop part two, the second loop, the customers, 35% of the customers have followed this path, where when it comes to the path, the total customers have followed this particular path, unique path, it's around 35%. So the average time that the customers have spent here, it's 1 minute and 28 seconds. So you can identify this information, and also the abandoned call rate, the loop time, everything can be viewed in you can, at a glance, you can view all this information. So even you can hover on these reports and you can get the call volumes and abandon rate at that particular menu option and repeat call information. So these are some important information that you can get from Sankey dashboards. And let me move on to the architecture diagram. Like it's very important to understand like how data sources are integrated and what's the data transformation process when it comes to Sankey dashboard and how it's presented through Sankey dashboard. So this architecture, represents our like symmetric approach when it comes to transforming raw customer interaction data, raw CDR, into actionable Sankey visualization. So starting from sources like IVR system and Compose. So Wavenet IVR, it's the IP media server which processes media and accepts IVR calls and process the complete IVR user journey. And we Compose, it's a Wavenet tool, where it's a rapid application development tool where you can create various application flows. It can be IVR, it can be any other SMS or US channel, or it can be digital channels like WhatsApp, Viber, and so on. So these sources generate rich CDR containing every interaction node, timestamp, and customer selection point. All the menu options are captured, components are captured. So then we have the ETL process. This is very important. So this is like a transform. This is where the transformation happens. Converting this raw data is converted into, like, when it comes to Sankey dashboards, you might know already. You need to transform data into source and target pairs. So you need to understand the source point, target point, and the behavior between those 2 points. So you need to, first of all, you need to do the source target pairing, and you need to identify the unique paths that the customers have followed. And using, like, again, you need to aggregate flow volumes. You need to aggregate all the flow volumes, identify these unique paths, and you need to, like, identify the volume of each unique path. So that's where, like, the ETL process comes into play. Then we have the analytics DB. So this is an optimized optimized database created specifically for Sankey dashboard. You need to have structured and indexed data in order to create Sankey dashboards. That's where you need the analytics DB. And we are using Sankey dashboard to present the customer user journey. So this is the overall, like, end-to-end architecture when it comes to our Sankey data representation. So, as most of the tools, like even Sankey tools has got some challenges when it comes to implementation. So, most of the customers, they have data structure issues like inconsistent format and missing timestamps. Also, like, even the naming convention when it comes to menus. Also, these reasons creates obstacles and hurdles to, like, come up with a Sankey dashboard. Also, certain customers, they have constraints, they have limitations in processing large volumes of interaction data. And even having when it comes to an IVR flow, it can be a lengthy flow, it can be you can have a complex logic there. So even this, like, creates more complexity when it comes to implementation of Sankey dashboard. So there are some, like, mitigation strategies that you can follow in order to address these challenges. Like, you can say you can do data pre-processing, you can do flow optimizations, you can do batch processing to, like, address the data volume issues, and even you can do caching. So though you say you can do data pre-processing, you can do flow optimizations, how this can be how this can be done. So that's the problem most of the customers have. That's why they stop, like, even they don't proceed with creating Sankey dashboards when it comes to complex deployments, like, especially when it comes to telco deployments. They have a large data set, they have complex data. So when it comes to Sankey implementation, they face a lot of challenges. So next up, I will explain how we can overcome these issues using our Compose rapid application development tool. So you might wondering, like, why I'm talking about development tool here, because we are focused on data sets, data transformation, data cleansing, and why I'm talking about Compose. So it's very important to create IVR application flows in a way that you can generate Sankey dashboards. So that should be the main focus. So when it comes to Compose, it's a low-code application development flow where you can, like, drag and drop components and simply create different application logics. So I will do a demonstration as well. I will show how, like, what's the standard that you need to follow when it comes to Compose to, like, to create a Sankey dashboard. So Compose, like, by creating application flows following a proper standard, you can, like, provide, like, better custom experience to customers. Even you can reduce loop paths, decrease call volume, unnecessary call volumes, improve the completion, the success rates, and enhance customer experience. With that, like, for a moment, let me switch to the demo instance and demonstrate Compose instance. I show how, like, what are the steps that you need to follow when it comes to creation of an IVR application flow. because end of the day, it's very important to have the best data input towards the Sankey dashboard. For that, we need to have proper output from the flow creation tool, flow execution tool. We need to have proper CDR format. So let me share the screen again with the demo instance. Give me a second. Yeah, I should see. Yeah. So this is the Compose, our rapid application development tool, where you can create like various application flow logics. So I'm not going to focus, like there are lots of features when it comes to Compose. You can create different channel applications like for digital channels and legacy channels. Also, you can create ESP flows, API applications, and also you can create microservices. So there are even the AI capabilities inbuilt. So you can just upload a document and create a use case through Compose. So let me focus only on the relevant modules today. Let me open a IVR application flow. So yeah, this is an IVR application flow, which is like the use case here is like you can opt in, you can subscribe to channels, cable TV channels through this application flow. So you can see it's a low code platform where you can drag and drop various components and create flow logics. It can be a text, quick reply, or question, or functional component like scripts, or database query, or API, or it can be application control components. So everything can be dragged into this canvas and you can create different application flows. So you can see like there are different menu options starting from the welcome greeting, welcome text. For the service selection, you have billing details, technical support, new channel activation. So there are different menu options. So it's very important, like when you're creating the logic, to have components. So these are components. So it can be a text component. So all these components are captured, printed in compose component CDR. So even like it's very, it's the outcome should be, we have to create those target pairs. So we need to have the first component, the next component, and all the components should be printed in IVR CDR. So this information is captured in Compose. And so let me move again like back to the presentation slide deck and show the CDR like how it's very convenient, how conveniently we can transform Compose CDR into Sankey CDR input. Let me share the screen again. Yeah. So you saw how you can create an IVR application through Compose, and what are the components, the importance of having components when it comes to the CDR. So I have taken an example like a CDR, a sample CDR here. You can see the Compose component data. It has the component ID, the welcome menu, and the welcome greeting, the next component, the timestamps, the start time, end time. So these are very important when it comes to creating a dashboard. So you have all the information captured in Compose component data, and it's a one-step visualization. Why I'm saying that is, when it comes to data transformation, what you have to do is you have to extract the relevant component information and create source and target pairs. That's very important when it comes to creating Sankey dashboard. So you need to create target and source and target pairs from these sequential components, and you need to identify unique paths, and you need to kind the customers have followed those unique paths. So the structuring of nodes, so everything is done through the data, the ETL process that I was discussing, what I explained earlier, that's done through the ETL process. The data transformation is done through the ETL process, and the data output is fed into Analytics DB. So you can see like how easily, like when you create application flow through Compose, how easily it can be converted into a format that can be fed into Sankey dashboard. So that's done with the help of Compose and our ETL process. So that's like why I'm saying Compose is perfect when it comes to Sankey visualization, because we go to component level granularity. Also you can see like how the application flows are created, right? So that built-in capabilities there to create user journey application flows, IVR application flows. So even not only this, you can have additional metadata. You can either focus if you need the disconnection reason, if you need like even we can provide information about APIs, API latency, delays in responses. all those information can be highlighted in Sankey Dashboard. So that's why I'm saying like Compose plays a major role when it comes to data visualization through Sankey Dashboard. So now, like so far, it's very important to get insights through Sankey Dashboard. So what I said, like you can give information about repetitive paths or loops and other information. So we are not stopping there. So it's very important, like providing that those information is not sufficient, like for most of the customers. So what you can do is we have incorporated AI into our Sankey dashboard. Using AI, what we are providing like analysis and recommendations to improve customer experience by like providing recommendations into IVR application flows. So I have taken an example here. So let me zoom out a bit. You can see the overall the analysis provided here. This is about like application flow created for specifically for customers. So we have taken data from that deployment. So you can see in the analysis the friction nodes and the journey paths. In high friction nodes, it says the node 328.1, it means user story 328.1, identification conversion T. So this user story is about identifying the customer, identify the segment of the customer. So it's a frequent starting point and seems to be a critical part of the journey. However, it has multiple connections leading to long haul durations and high loop counts, indicating potential user frustration. Excuse me. So similarly, like you can see, there are in analysis provided relevant to repeated sessions. So it says there are 70 repeated call instances within 24 hours. So nodes like 328.1 identification convergent and 37 equipoise inhibitors are part of the repeated pass session. So even it says like it indicates unresolved issues during initial calls. So these are some analysis provided by our tool. Based on that, even provide recommendations, AI-based analysis and recommendations. Yeah, we provide like when it comes to reducing friction at high traffic nodes. So again, like based on the same menu option, same node, it says that you can offer clear instructions or direct paths to common requests. So you can say if the customer is like repeating to 3 to 8.1, what you can do is you can add an additional menu option giving instructions about the flow. So that kind of a recommendation is also provided through the platform itself. Also, you can recommendations are provided to optimize peak hour operations. Like it says during peak hours, you can have like you can increase the resources and do relevant load balancing to like to optimize like to provide better customer experience. Even about looping issues. So you can it says like improve path clarity. It says redesign nodes with high loop instances such as menu connect principal class and menu numero de claro. You can offer clear and more distinct options. Like if the customer is not clear about the menu options, even you can add additional levels to provide more information to the customer. So provide more guidance. So that sort of a recommendation is also provided using the same tool. So it says like when it comes to business impact, this reduces call handling time by like, you can identify the high friction points. So you can reduce the call handling time, even the FCR rate. When it comes to an operation like IVR application flows and customer care centers, it's very important to increase the FCR rate. So based on these recommendations, even you can improve the FCR. So also like it can provide information about call transfers. When it comes to an IVR application flow, most of the telco customers, enterprise customers, the objective is to reduce the number of call transfers to agents, to live agents. So to improve the self-management options, we can get recommendations to the same tool, like, to provide like additional options to menu. If the customer is finding difficult to like, to subscribe to a data package, you can focus on those points and improve those menu options to allow the customers to do it through the application flow without transferring it to live agents. So those transfer reasons also can be identified and recommendations can be provided through the same tool. So the bottom line is, when it comes to IVR user journey reports, the ideal tool to represent IVR user journeys, it's Sankey Dashboard. It's from my perspective because, at a glance, you can get a lot of customer information, lot of journey information. You can identify the most frequent paths that the user journeys that the customers have followed, the loops, repetitions, the call volumes. Just looking at the Sankey Dashboard, you can view those information. Even filtrations, like you can drill down, you can focus on particular user stories. So when it comes to user stories, a user story can be a balance check, a data package subscription, or ordering pizza. So you can focus on, like, even the filtration can be done to drill down into user story level, use case level. It's important to have a proper application development tool. So my recommendation is to have Compose as the IVR application development tool. So it's very conveniently, you can transform the customer, like, the CDR, component CDR, into a format that can be fed into Sankey dashboards. Also, incorporating AI, you can analyze the application, like the user journeys, and provide recommendations to improve IVR application flows. So that's the bottom line. That's the recommendation that I can provide when it comes to presenting IVR user journeys. So that's all about IVR user journeys.
Thank you, Shamil, for your. It was a very interesting session, and I hope you all have many questions to ask from Shamil. And now it's time for the Q&A session. So please feel free to ask any questions, and you can also type in your questions in the comment section. It is the time now. This question is Tanushri. Yes,
Yes,
Tanushri, you can
Tanushri.
ask.
Hello.
Hi, Tanushri. Yes.
Just wondering because like I understood how Sankey can be used to, see the performance of IVR journeys. But beyond IVR, are there any constraints in using Sankey for other channel journey mapping and, to see the performances? And also, like, if your application development platform has that omni-channel capability, can the data preparation be done once and then do the mapping of all the channels through Sankey?
Yeah, good question, Tanushri. Yes. To answer the question, when it comes to Sankey dashboards, even channels like even they follow particular customer journey, right? USSD, it can be WhatsApp, where you need to go through a set of menu options. Even voice commands like can be provided, information about that can be provided through Sankey dashboard. So we don't have any limitations when it comes to channels, because when it comes to the tool that the application development tool that we are talking about, Compose, so we have a common CDR format there, where even we can filter the channel. We have CDR field to identify the channel. So we have a common CDR format there. So the same transformation, like the important fields are the components, timestamps, and like how you do the source and destination, how you create the source and destination pairs, and identifying the unique paths. So regardless of the channels, we can aggregate that. We can identify those unique paths, and using the component CDR, we can create source and destination pairs, and we can present it through Sankey dashboard. So we don't have any limitations there. So it's a one-time transformation, like one-time effort that you need to put into transform data into like Sankey compatible data format.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tanushri, for this question. And also, we have Deshan with the question. Deshan, I have unmuted you. Unmute your mic.
Thanks. So Shamil, my question for you is, what tools do you do when you are creating Sankey diagrams? The reason I'm asking this question is, I think we've worked together on the Sankey diagrams, and the problem that I saw was with Power BI. There's not a lot of scope that you can cover with Sankey diagrams, and it's really difficult unless the data is arranged in such a way that it's kind of optimized in a way that you can really use that, because you need to prep those reports in order for you to be able to create a proper Sankey diagram. So is there any workaround for that, or have you identified other tools that we can use to create Sankey diagrams other than Power BI?
Yeah, Deshan, I understand your question. Like when it comes to Power BI, there are constraints. So what we have done, we have come up with a tool. We have created a tool to support these scenarios. So we have partnered with different vendors, and we have come up with a tool. That's like I showed you a couple of screenshots, right? Let me go to that slide. Yeah, I have taken these screenshots from our tool, where you can, you can track like there can be various like unique user journeys, starting from the short code to different menu options. There can be unique user journeys. So those can be identified through our tool. And there are different information cards that we have created, and even the loops, like when it comes to Power BI, the constraint that we have specially about showing how to show repetitive paths and loops, right? So that's because
Yes.
when it comes to Power BI, we follow the same direction. It's not bi-direction. So, but when it comes to our inbuilt tool, like it's bi-direction, where you can see like this red color lines, like based on the thickness. You can even you can get information about call volume. You can check the loop percentage, the number of users, the average time that the users have spent in this loop. That can be tracked to our tool, which is built by us, partnering with one of our vendors, one of our partners. Did I answer your question, Desha?
Yeah, Shamil. Thanks. That's good enough. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Deshan, for your question as well. We do have a bit of time for one or two more questions. If anybody has a question, now it's time.
I think Desha has a
Deshan, sorry. Yeah, I love the mic, Deshan.
Am I audible?
Yes.
All right. My question is, Shami, now when you're looking at the Sankey diagrams, how do you actually differentiate between the good and the bad IVR? Let's say, let's take IVR for example. IVR drop-offs, even chat drop-offs. Sometimes the customers might be frustrated, like you said, because of the
Yeah.
loops and stuff. But then they are, sometimes the customers may leave because they have found their answer also, right? So how do you differentiate those, differentiate between the good and the bad drop-offs?
It's a good question, Deshan, because like we have to do certain we have to configure when it comes to Sankey dashboards to identify repetitive calls, and that you're saying we need to do certain logics. We need to decide what's the logic for drop-offs. We need to configure certain menu level. So there can be menu A, B, C, 3 levels. We can do configurations like say, if the customer drops off at menu A, that's considered as a actual drop-off because that the customer has left the IVR call because the customer couldn't find the exact menu option or couldn't go through the menu flow. So we can do those configurations where we can configure the levels that we consider as bad drop-off. That can be done.
Right. Thank you, Shami.
Thank you, Deshan, as well. We do have time for one question. If anybody has a question, I guess we are good to conclude it then. So I want to thank you, Shami, for your insights, expertise, the practical demonstration as well. Thank you everyone for joining in. Questions. I think we learned many aspects, IVR user journey reports and how AI can optimize call flows today. And also a variety of future forward and trendy discussions. So don't forget to have a look on our social spaces for updates on the future sessions and also content on what we have met the industry. So while everyone for joining in again, this concludes today's TechTonic. Have a wonderful rest of the evening. Thank you.